have been coming to Live in God Church, you know Sal and Heather Sanchez. They were with us for a number of months. They were on a sabbatical from some missionary work in Africa. And they're still stateside as they're waiting to go back because their timeline's gotten disrupted a bit by the whole coronavirus thing. So a week or two ago, I sent Sal and Heather a message and just asked them how they were processing, feeling, thinking about a lot of things involving the virus. Everything from government restrictions to the conversation in Christian circles about faith versus fear, that type of thing. And one of the reasons I was asking them is just because that's a topic that a lot of people are wrestling with right now, myself included. And there's emotion invested in it, and we're all trying to read the Bible well and figuring out how to be a faithful presence. And it can be an issue that's full of tension because people that we know and love and respect reach very different opinions about what we should be doing right now. And it can just be wearing, frankly. I'm sure you've experienced it. So I like Sal and Heather for one, but I also appreciate their depth and their thoughtfulness. And they've had experiences around the world that you'll see in this little discussion that give them an interesting perspective. So anyway, I messaged them with Marco Polo. Well, Marco Polo is an app where you basically shout Marco by sending a video that looks a lot like this. And they shout back Polo by sending you a video in response. So I Marcoed them and they Poloed me. And I was able to record it and they said I could use it. And so I'm going to be sharing that with you as this part of the Church in the Time of the Virus series. Enjoy.
I'm going to give you, and I don't know if this helps or not.
Thanks, beautiful.
I'm kind of our stance on a few things and how we go about it and how we think about it. Hey, darling. My wife is here. Isn't she beautiful? Look at those eyes. Oh, my goodness. So, I'm sorry. We tend to be more charismatic than some, not as charismatic as others, and more conservative than many, I think, maybe, and not as conservative as others still.
We're not in the same places.
Yeah. Yes. Well, and I suppose that also depends on what country we're in, because that changes.
Not us.
Yeah, we try not to change. We try to. Everyone else is wrong. Just joking. So, you know, the coronavirus thing is an interesting. It's interesting. I feel like it's a possibility that it's a little overblown, but I feel it's very dangerous. I myself feel like maybe the government went too far. And, like, the mask thing, I'm not a big fan of the mask. So that's where I stand. But what my opinion is kind of doesn't matter. Because the way I thought about it, Heather and I actually talked about this. As Christians, hey, can you scoot over? So, as Christians, we are called to think of others more than ourselves. We had a conversation when we were talking about some of the masks going on, because in Charlotte, I don't know if you guys get crazy masks in Michigan, but boy, they're coming up with some crazy stuff out here, man. Like people with clear buckets on their heads.
The welding mask?
Yeah, a welding mask. Someone was walking through the store with a welding mask. It probably wasn't the best idea, but I made a joke. One of our friends is a bee farmer. So we went into the store wearing bee masks, and the lady was like, I'm not sure if that's going to work against Corona. But it was just a joke. We came to the thought of, I would feel probably pretty upset with somebody if my mom got mad, if my mom got sick because someone else wasn't wearing a mask. And really, I think wearing the masks is a show of love for other people, because we all know, or at least what the TV says, is that the mask isn't for my protection, it's for your protection, right? That's, they say, this isn't for me, it's for you, which is actually pretty cool. Heather bought me this handkerchief the other day.
It was for your allergies.
It was because my allergies are so bad, and
he didn't want to go in the store with toilet paper, stuffed up his nose.
But the handkerchief was not legit.
They only had girl handkerchiefs in the store.
And do you remember when Paul was like, I don't want to be a stumbling block to somebody? And then there's the idea of giving someone meat when they should still be on milk. I mean, we can come up with a lot of examples. But from these things, what I thought of is, as Christians, and me, conservative-leaning Christian, I should probably soften where I'm at to help the church and to show love to non-Christians as well. You know, to meet them where they're at. When in Rome, do as the Romans, for the most part. You know, not the bad stuff, but it could be a stumbling block to someone. And it seems like this stone, to me, only falls one way. It could be a stumbling block to someone if they're not going to come near me, and they're going to think that I don't care about them because I'm not wearing a mask. Whereas, like, that could even cut off a chance for me to preach the gospel. You know, instead of 6 feet away, I gotta stay 18 feet away, and I'm not gonna shout about Jesus at someone from 18 feet away. Maybe I will.
There may have been a time or two.
I might have done that before.
I think it's more of a heart.
Yeah, I think it's a heart issue.
There's a lot of Christians that are like, they don't have faith, they're living in fear, we're gonna make this big statement. But that's like becomes about, I'm gonna go out without a mask to make a statement that I'm not afraid. But the mask is, it's not, they already said it's not for protecting yourself, it's for protecting others.
Yeah.
Then it's kind of I would question, the motives. Anytime you're making a statement, you have to question the motives really hard. Make sure it's not very selfish or, just not Christian motives, maybe.
Yeah, and I'm an anti-masker.
Yeah, us too. But then we recognize that
it's not for us, it's for others.
I mean,
and that's kind of,
live places that we were only 15 miles from confirmed cases of Ebola when we were in Uganda.
Yeah.
And life just continued as normal, so
So, really quick,
we might be more comfortable than others.
And that's true. For us specifically, like we've worked with Ebola patients and we've done stuff like whatever. So we're like, is Corona that much worse? But that said, we're still taking the proper precautions.
We went to the ocean yesterday. We finally opened it.
It's open and we social distanced.
Yeah.
And we found a jellyfish.
And I slept it.
And Heather, okay. Did I do the eye roll? Heather, good example of Heather over here. We found a jellyfish, and she's like, oh, it's dead. So she slaps the bottom part, right? And I'm like, honey, they can still sting you even for a little bit afterwards. And she's like, oh, I didn't know that. We turned around, and Mila's like, whoa, and that's like rubbing the bottom all over herself. And I'm like, no, it's so bad. Okay, so that's kind of our stance on Corona. back to the main trail. I can see and sympathize and understand where certain people are like, oh, I don't want to, and this and that. But as a Christian, we should probably have a different goal than a non-Christian anti-masker. But the issue with that is, she's huge. She's so cute. The issue with that, there are a lot of issues, because then you're running into what Heather was talking about, which is like the faith and no faith, and
I think that's, probably the bigger issue. I think the coronavirus, in one way, has been difficult, but probably in the long run, maybe a good thing. for the Western Church, though, in that it's really caused a lot of people, I think, to examine their hearts. Like, we have friends who are out doing the Michigan protests, and they think, and their stance is they're hard Christians, and we just got to keep the church free from state control and all this. And then we have others who have really not left their house in 2 weeks.
4 weeks of that.
And we have ones on either side of the spectrum that are judging the other really harshly. And our stance is just kind of, when it comes to keeping yourself safe, keeping your family safe, I mean, these are issues that need to be just analyzed by each individual family, and that should be something that Christian brothers and sisters are not nitpicky about each other, that we accept and respect, that we're not all the same, and so the judgment thing, we see a lot of that happening, and it's really sad. And but I think we are coming to times where there are going to be other issues coming that are going to confront the church, and if we can't kind of get it together the best we can, so
It was a post that you had, and it said, what do you think is the primary sin that's coming out of this coronavirus, like an identifying one? I read a book by Abdu Murray called Saving Truth, and in chapters, I want to say 4 through 6 maybe. Well, actually, in a way, the whole book is about autonomy, and I agree with you. I think one of the major problems that are coming out and that we're able to see is autonomy, a misunderstanding of freedom, because alone divided we fall, right? I mean, you can't have complete autonomy. That's biblically, that's always been the downfall. I mean, Satan rose up against God. And once again, I mean, we could go into individual stories over and over and over again, but I think that's like a Western value, an American Western value.
So everybody's stereotype of us is.
It's true.
Everywhere in the world.
The Lone Ranger. Everywhere we go, we're known as the Lone Ranger culture, which I like, but I don't think it's as biblical as I want it to be. You know what I mean? Because we are called to love one another and to care for one another, and you can't do that if you're saying it's all about me and my decisions, and don't you affect my sphere and I won't affect your sphere. That's not a Christian worldview. So, yeah.